Thank you, Devin. He's certainly enjoying No Shave November over there on his weather wall, but November has a lot of other stuff going on, including it is Hospice and Palliative Care Awareness Month, and it's important to start this hard conversation.
And here to tell us more about the important role of these services in caring for a loved one is Nurse Christina Paris. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. This topic is really, it kind of touches my heart because I have seen over and over again people who struggle with end of life, and while I will never know until I get there what it's like to actually be really sick or dying, but I do know from a caregiver perspective, it's tough. You know, I watched my dad die and I watched him get sick, and I tried to encourage him to get hospice help, and he was very resistant, and I would go visit, and my poor stepmom struggled with, you know, how to care for him, knowing he's dying, how to take care of herself, and these are all things that we will talk about in a second.
Absolutely. So what are the differences between palliative care and hospice for those of us not quite certain out there?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they did a study and 70% of the participants did not even know what palliative and hospice care are. And I think that, so when we talk about hospice care, usually it's a life-limiting illness. So you have cancer, you have gone through all chemotherapy, radiation, and there's just no cure. It's not helping, it's not going away. They've done everything they can. That's when you look at hospice. Palliative care can start years earlier. Palliative care, you can be with palliative care for years, and it is there to support and help the families.
Interesting. And then, so what are some of the common misconceptions when it comes to hospice?
So one of the big things is that people think that hospice means that that's it. You know, that if you go into hospice, we're going to hasten your death. The sad thing is people don't go into hospice soon enough. You can go into hospice and actually be discharged from hospice if, you know, you hear those stories where people are like, doctors didn't think I would ever walk again. You know, so there are circumstances where people do overcome illnesses. But if you have like heart disease, cancer, stroke, dementia, those are all kind of good things for palliative care. They also feel like if you go into hospice, you're giving up. You're losing hope. So somebody who is really fighting or trying to get through this feels like if I go into hospice, that's it. I'm admitting defeat. But that's not the case. Well, one, none of us are going to live forever. I mean, that's just a fact. But you know, it doesn't hasten. That's not the goal of hospice care. People think that you have to sign a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate order. That is not true. You can go into hospice and not sign a DNR. If you're in hospice, you cannot see your regular provider or doctor. That is not true. We still want people to follow up with their regular provider. And that hospice goal is to end your life or, you know, speed it up. And again, I can't stress that enough, that is not the case. Really, they're there to support.
Absolutely. And can you tell us some of the services provided by this hospice care to support them?
Absolutely. So they want to, the goal is to, again, manage symptoms, ease the burden of caregivers, things like that. So they can offer medication management or symptom control for pain relief, medical equipment like beds, wheelchairs, walkers, things like that to help your loved one at home be more comfortable. Physical and occupational therapy, you can get that when you're in palliative care and hospice. Speech and language pathology. So if you had a stroke through palliative care, you can get that. Dietary counseling. So they want to help keep you nutrition because some people eating at the end of life is just for comfort, you know, so that you feel good. It's not necessarily for the nutritional intake. But if you're in palliative care, dietary is really important. And with palliative care, you can still take all your medications. You can still, you know, do what you would need. But it just offers support for family, and I can't stress that enough. There's social workers, there's all kinds of support. And really quick, one last thing is hospice also follows the family and continues after the death of that loved one. They offer grief support and they're there to help. When my father did pass, and we were very fortunate to keep him at home, we called them in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. and we called the hospice lady, and she came and was there to support us. And it was really a wonderful service. But he didn't do that until a week or two before his death. So unfortunately, there was a lot of lost opportunity and time to help. So
Well, it's definitely very nice coming in today. It's a very hard topic to discuss for anyone, but it's important to kind of know so you can get access to those resources earlier and make that transition not only for the person who may be ill, but also just for you a lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
Well,
so
thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
And coming up, we have What's Trending, including why a giant